Assassin's Creed Origins is the newest installment in the Assassin's Creed series, and Ubisoft took a year off their yearly release schedule to really put in the time and effort into Origins to really make sure they were putting out a quality game. The series has definitely had some duds, but hopefully Origins is a new beginning for the series. But seeing that we've been burned by the series before, we took some time to think about some things from previous games that we don't want to see in Origins. And with that, today on gameranx, we're here to bring you 7 things we don't want in Assassin's Creed Origins. Starting off at number 7, it really isn't a Ubisoft game unless there's a ton of useless collectibles, right? That's their thing. Their games have always just been collectathons, from Far Cry to the newer Ghost Recon Wildlands. Ubisoft really loves their collectibles. And hey, I'm not complaining, Ubisoft games are always an easy and really fun platinum. But I think we deserve something more by now, don't you? A lot of these collectibles and extra stuff thrown into Assassin's Creed starts to come off as filler over time, like it was just there to keep me busy. Which is fine, I don't mind that really, I want to be kept busy, but give me something that matters. There's a way to do collectibles right, like the audio diaries in BioShock. You can totally do without them, but collecting them actually adds something. There's a reason to collect them. Or maybe something like Fallout 4, where you were collecting bobbleheads, and each bobblehead raised a different stat. So if you're gonna have those collectibles, make them matter. Give them some sort of significance. Don't just give me this fluff. And moving on to number 6, Assassin's Creed games have always had the same type of missions since the first game. Go here, kill this dude, go here, and kill that dude. But the most annoying mission type, to me anyway, has always been the tailing missions. Nothing about following someone around seems fun to me. Especially when it's so easy to fail too. It always seems like losing the person you're following, even for just a second, always results in failure. And I know that these missions are kind of like a staple of the series, but I think we can do without them this time around. The same goes for pursuit missions too. These were always there to show off the parkour and climbing aspects of the games, which is, a big part of it, so I get why they're there. But something just has to change. I don't think these have to be completely eradicated from the game. I just think they need to be changed up a little bit. Maybe make it a little bit more cinematic, like having a cool Uncharted-like set piece. I don't know, I think that could be cool. But don't try to fix the tailing missions. Just fuck that shit, burn it down, get rid of it. And next up at number 5, the Out of Anima stuff hasn't been good for quite some time. It also wasn't the strongest part of the series to begin with. With the death of Desmond in Assassin's Creed 3, all the real-world stuff since then has always been kind of weird. Black Flag, I think, took a pretty interesting approach to it, and it was cool, but I don't know if I can do something like that again. I think it would kind of be boring if they were to repeat that. The Desmond real-life stuff I always thought was pretty cool and also heavily underutilized. Not that I want a fully playable game set in modern times, but I always feel like they were missing something. Origins, I think, could act as a kind of turning point with this real-world stuff. They need to do it right or don't do it at all. Especially with how far back the series is going with this game, to the start of all of it, to when the Assassin's Brotherhood was created. Seeing that the real-world part of the storyline hasn't really moved forward since 3, I think this is the perfect time to do it. I don't even think it needs to be playable, just give me some good cutscenes or something, anything, really, just make it good. And moving on to number 4, Assassin's Creed has always had pretty meh side missions and activities. Actually, a lot of games have a lot of optional stuff that's just kinda half-assed. Some games do have some really good side quests and optional stuff though. Don't get me wrong, Witcher 3 really knows what's up. But a lot of the time, side quests, collectibles, and other things are just, meh, they're just there. And with Origins, seeing that they're building this giant game world, they have to make sure that it's filled with interesting stuff to do, besides just the main story. The game director says that they're trying to deliver some high-quality optional content. He had this to say: "We have a lot of surprises in there. A lot of it is optional content. We put a lot of effort into having really high-quality optional content. The idea that ancient Egypt is mysterious, that it evokes this awe feeling, we wanted to feel that in the game." I love the sound of this. I'm a huge fan of Witcher 3, and some of the best stories in that game are told through the side quests. So I'm definitely going to remain cautiously optimistic and hope that the side stuff in Origins doesn't fall victim to what the previous Assassin's Creed games have fallen victim to. And that's all the side stuff, just kind of acting like filler and fluff, just being there for the sake of being there. And next up at number 3, something that Assassin's Creed has always suffered from was how they threw away almost every character in the series. Besides Ezio, who had 3 games, a lot of the main protagonists we've gotten in these games also haven't been the most memorable characters. There are some for sure, but look at Connor and Arno. They're both pretty lame, Connor being borderline unbearable. Altair 2 was another playable character that was just boring. Like, there's nothing there to latch onto. Nothing that really makes you care. That's what really grabbed me with Syndicate. The Fry twins, Jacob and Evie, were really likable characters, both for their own reasons. Jacob was a clown, and Evie was a little bit more serious. And it was them as characters that made me really care about what was going on in that game. Even though the story wasn't out of this world, I still wanted to see where it went just because I cared about them. And part of what made Black Flag so great, besides the fact that the naval combat in that game is just awesome, is how awesome Edward Kenway is. He's a likable guy, so he made me give a shit about that game and what was going on in it. That's something Ubisoft really needs to nail with Origins. They really need to make me give a shit about the main character. He can't just be a quiet stand-in throwaway character. He needs to be something more. With them taking a year off from the franchise, I do think we can be optimistic about it, especially after seeing the main character in all the trailers. So far, I'm liking him. So far, I'm on board. And next, number 2, the next thing is something that I'm really surprised hasn't been fixed over the course of the last few games, and that's its stealth mechanics. The stealth in Assassin's Creed has always been just okay, like only okay. They've made attempts to make it better with each release, but it still isn't quite there yet, which is weird because it's a game about assassins who are sneaky. I don't know how this wasn't perfected X amount of games ago. But like I said, they've gotten better with each game. Assassin's Creed 3 added the ability to hide behind a corner and whistle to lure your enemies. Black Flag didn't really change much. They did add an alarm system, but I think it was more of the environment that made the stealth seem a little bit better here. Sneaking around in the jungle and on pirate ships was just so cool that it just seemed new. Unity actually added the ability to crouch, which somehow wasn't in the previous 7 to 8 games. Enemy AI seemed different too. It was a little more difficult and a little bit more geared towards stealth. And Syndicate was kind of on the same page as Unity, but I never felt like I wanted to sneak around in that game. I just really like punching guys in the face. The whole gang thing didn't really scream stealth to me. Seeing that it has been taking baby steps towards getting better and better with each game, I'm sure Origins is going to improve upon it, but it needs to be a bigger step. All the stealth gameplay I've seen so far looks really good and promising, so I think we're going to get something really fun, but you really can't judge it until you actually have the game in your hands and you're playing it. As long as we get better enemy AI and more fluid stealth controls, I think we'll be good. You know what else I really like to get though? I love that in Watch Dogs 2, I could play that game totally non-lethal, and I would love if some of that crossed over into Assassin's Creed Origins. Although I'm sure I have to stab someone in the neck with my hidden blade eventually, I would just like, in between assassinations, just being able to be so stealthy that I don't even need to get near anyone to kill them. And finally, at number 1, now this is a big one, I'm sure everyone's on the same page with me here. Do not give us a repeat of Unity, which was the buggiest Assassin's Creed game to date. I'm sure you all remember that popping up all over the internet when it launched. Remember, a character's face would disappear, and it would just be eyes and teeth, and it was pretty horrifying. And it wasn't a few cases of this, a lot of the player base were experiencing these bugs. And it didn't stop there, the game had a ton of bugs in it. But I honestly don't think we're going to get anything like that. I think Ubisoft is really putting in the time and effort to make sure they deliver the best possible Assassin's Creed game that they can. I really do think this is going to be the same jump in quality we got from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2. Everything that I've seen so far from Origins looks awesome. I was lucky enough to see it in action with my own eyes at E3, and it looked stunning visually, and it seemed like everyone that was playing it was having a really good time. And those are 7 things we don't want in Assassin's Creed Origins, but we want to hear from you. So meet us down in the comments and let us know what you think. Are you guys excited for Assassin's Creed Origins? Is there something in particular that you really don't want to see in the game? Let us know. And as I'm sure you guys already know, hitting the like button really helps us out. And if you're new here, we put out videos like this every single day, and the best way to get them is by subscribing to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.